I lay helpless on my birthday, my son ignored me. Then a wrong message shattered everything. Evelyn woke up before the sun, the way she always did. At 60, sleep no longer followed rules. It came in pieces, short and light, never deep. She lay still for a moment, listening to the quiet of her small house. The old clock in the hallway ticked softly. Outside, a dog barked far away. The world was awake, even if no one was thinking about her. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss our latest uploads. She slowly sat up, rubbing her eyes. The mirror across the room showed a woman with silver lines in her hair and tired eyes that still carried warmth. Today was her birthday. She remembered it clearly. 60 years. A full life, she told herself. Or at least, a long one. Evelyn smiled faintly as she got out of bed. She didn't expect gifts. She didn't expect a party. But she hoped for one thing. A phone call. Just one. She moved through her morning routine carefully. She made her bed, straightening the blanket even though no one would see it. She washed her face and brushed her hair, choosing a clean blue sweater instead of her usual old cardigan. It felt silly to dress up for no one, but she did it anyway. In the kitchen, she made tea instead of coffee. Her hands shook slightly as she poured hot water into her favorite chipped mug. She had owned it for over 20 years. Her son once broke the handle when he was a teenager and glued it back together with too much glue. She never replaced it. She sat at the small table by the window. The chair across from her was empty, like it had been for years. Sunlight slowly crept into the room, warming the floor. Evelyn checked her phone. No messages. No missed calls. She told herself it was early. People were busy. He would remember later. After breakfast, she decided to keep herself occupied. Waiting made time feel heavy. She folded laundry, even the clothes that were already folded. She wiped the counters that were already clean. She organized a drawer she hadn't opened in months. Each task gave her something to do with her hands, but her mind kept drifting back to her phone. Her son had changed over the past year. Calls became shorter. Messages took longer to answer. He said he was busy with work, with life. She understood that. She always had. Mothers learned early how to understand. Still, today felt different. By noon, she felt tired. She sat down on the couch and turned on the television, though she barely watched it. Her phone rested on the table beside her. Every buzz from a notification sound on TV made her heart jump. Nothing came. She remembered past birthdays. Ones with cake from the local bakery. Ones with handmade cards scribbled with crooked letters. Ones where her son hugged her tightly and promised to always be there. She never asked for much. Just time. Just presence. The afternoon dragged on. She warmed leftovers for lunch but only ate a few bites. Her appetite felt small. She told herself it was fine. Age did that to people. To distract herself, she stepped outside into the yard. The grass needed trimming, but she didn't have the energy. She sat on the porch instead, watching leaves move in the breeze. Neighbors passed by, some waving politely. None stopped. Evelyn checked her phone again. Still silent. She laughed softly at herself. "It's just another day," she whispered. Saying it out loud made it sound true. As evening approached, the air grew cooler. She went back inside and closed the door gently, like she always did. The house felt larger at night. Sounds echoed more. Thoughts did too. She decided to cook something warm. Soup, simple and easy. As she stood by the stove, stirring slowly, she felt a strange lightness in her head. She paused, holding on to the counter. "It's nothing," she said quietly. "Just tired." The feeling passed, or so she thought. She carried her bowl to the table and sat down, but her chest felt tight, like something heavy was resting there. She took a deep breath. Then another. Her phone was still on the table. She looked at it, hoping, wishing. The screen stayed dark. Evelyn told herself not to overthink it. Stress could do strange things. She had read that somewhere. She had lived alone long enough to talk herself out of worry. After dinner, she washed the dishes slowly. The dizziness returned, stronger this time. The room seemed to tilt. She grabbed the sink, breathing harder now. Her heart raced. Not fast like excitement, but uneven, wrong. Fear crept in quietly. She didn't panic. She never panicked. She walked to the living room and sat down, pressing a hand to her chest. Her breathing felt shallow. She thought about calling someone. Anyone. Her son's name came to mind first. Her fingers hovered over the phone screen. She didn't want to bother him. He was busy. He might not even answer. She told herself to wait a moment. Just a moment. The tightness grew worse. Her vision blurred at the edges. The television noise faded into a dull hum. She tried to stand, but her legs felt weak. Evelyn thought about how quiet the house was. How quiet her birthday had been. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a soft sound. She reached for it, but the room spun. Then everything went dark. The cold floor pressed against Evelyn's cheek when she slowly came back to awareness. At first, she didn't know where she was. Everything felt distant, like she was underwater. Her ears rang softly, and her body felt heavy, as if it belonged to someone else. She tried to move her fingers. They responded, but weakly. Her arm felt numb, pins and needles running through it. The room was dim now, the evening light slipping away through the window. The television was still on, voices talking to no one. Pain spread across her chest, deep and dull. Not sharp, but steady. Unforgiving. Evelyn breathed in slowly. The air felt thick. Each breath took effort. Her phone lay a short distance away on the floor. She could see it. Just out of reach. Daniel, she whispered, the name barely leaving her lips. She dragged her arm forward inch by inch. The movement made her head spin. Her heart beat hard, then skipped, then raced again. Fear settled in her stomach like a stone. She managed to hook her fingers around the edge of the phone and pull it closer. The screen lit up when she touched it. No new notifications. Her hands shook as she unlocked it. The letters on the screen blurred, but she knew exactly where to go. She didn't need to think. Muscle memory guided her thumb. She pressed his name. The phone rang. Once. Twice. She held it close to her ear, listening. No answer. She tried again. And again. Each call felt heavier than the last. Her arms started to ache from holding the phone up. Please, she whispered, though she didn't know who she was talking to anymore. Her chest tightened further, the pressure spreading into her shoulder. She shifted on the floor, trying to find a position that didn't hurt as much. Nothing helped. The ringing stopped. Silence filled her ear. She stared at the screen, willing it to change. Willing his face to appear. Willing him to remember. Her breathing became shallow. Panic crept in, slow at first, then faster. She had never liked panic. It made thinking harder. And she needed to think. She tried calling again. Straight to voicemail. Tears filled her eyes, blurring the screen. She hadn't cried all day. Not when the phone stayed quiet. Not when the house felt empty. But now, lying on the floor, it felt different. Her body was failing her, and the one person she needed wasn't there. She opened the message screen. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, shaking. Call me, she typed. Then erased it. She tried again. Please help. She stared at the words. They looked small. Not enough to explain how she felt. She added more. I don't feel well. Her thumb slipped, hitting send before she could change it. She waited. The room felt quieter than before. Even the television sounded far away now. Her ears buzzed softly. Her phone stayed dark. Evelyn swallowed hard. Her throat felt dry. She tried to sit up but couldn't. Her muscles didn't listen. She thought about calling someone else. A neighbor. An old friend. But her mind kept circling back to the same name. Daniel. Her son. She had raised him alone. She had worked long hours, skipped meals, stayed up late helping with homework. She had been there for every scraped knee, every fever, every bad dream. And now, she was alone on the floor. Her chest burned. She pressed her palm against it, hoping pressure might help. It didn't. She typed another message. Please call me. It's important. Send. Her vision dimmed at the edges. She blinked rapidly, trying to stay focused. She couldn't fall asleep. She knew that much. Sleep felt dangerous. She counted her breaths. In. Out. Slow. Each one felt shorter than the last. Minutes passed. Or maybe seconds. Time didn't feel real anymore. She called again. Voicemail. Her arm dropped to the floor, phone slipping from her grasp. She didn't have the strength to pick it up right away. Her fingers tingled. Her mind drifted despite her efforts. She remembered holding her son for the first time. How small he had been. How she promised she would always protect him. She had never imagined she would need him like this. Evelyn forced herself to move again. Slowly, painfully, she pulled the phone back toward her. The screen showed no replies. No missed calls. Her breathing grew faster, uneven. Panic was no longer quiet. It filled her chest, her throat, her head. I need help, she said aloud, her voice cracking. She typed one last message. I'm on the floor. Please call me. Send. Her hands trembled violently now. The phone felt heavy. Her head pounded. Silence wrapped around her, thick and suffocating. It felt louder than the pain in her chest. Louder than her breathing. Louder than her thoughts. She waited. And waited. Nothing. Her eyelids grew heavy. She fought them, forcing them open. The room seemed farther away, like she was being pulled backward. She thought about her birthday cake that never came. About the empty chair. About the phone that never rang. Her grip on the phone loosened. Darkness crept in again, slow and steady, as the silence pressed down harder than anything she had ever felt before. Evelyn floated in and out of awareness, never fully asleep, never fully awake. The floor beneath her felt both cold and far away, like it belonged to another place. Sounds came and went. The hum of the refrigerator. The faint noise from the television. Her own breathing, uneven and shallow. Time lost its meaning. Seconds stretched into something heavier. Her body felt weak, but her mind refused to let go completely. Images began to rise, soft at first, then clearer. She saw herself younger, standing in a small apartment kitchen, rocking a crying baby against her shoulder. Daniel had been so light then, so small she worried she might break him. She remembered the fear. The responsibility. The way she learned to be strong because there was no other choice. His father had left early. No dramatic goodbye. Just a slow fading away until Evelyn realized she was alone. She didn't allow herself to fall apart. There was a child to feed. Bills to pay. A life that depended on her. She remembered her first double shift. Her feet aching, her back stiff, her eyes burning from lack of sleep. She smiled anyway when she came home, lifting Daniel into her arms even though her body begged her to rest. She missed meals so he wouldn't. She drank water to quiet hunger pains and told herself it didn't matter. He needed the food more. As the memories played, her chest tightened again, but this pain felt different. Emotional. Heavy. She remembered nights sitting on the edge of his bed, holding his hand when he had fevers. She stayed awake, counting his breaths, afraid to close her eyes. She remembered telling him stories to make him laugh when money was tight and worry filled her head. She protected him from things he never knew about. From eviction notices. From unpaid bills. From her own exhaustion. Evelyn drifted again, then came back. Her body was still on the floor. Her phone lay beside her, silent. Another memory surfaced. Daniel as a teenager, angry and loud, slamming doors. She remembered standing in the hallway, holding back tears, reminding herself that growing up was hard. She never raised her voice. She never walked away. She worked more hours then. Nights blurred into mornings. She drank cheap coffee and told herself she could sleep later. There was always later. She remembered his graduation day. How proud she felt watching him walk across the stage. How her hands shook as she clapped. She thought then that everything had been worth it. She remembered helping him pack when he moved out. Folding his clothes neatly, hiding her sadness behind smiles. She told him to chase his dreams. She meant it. Evelyn swallowed weakly. Her throat burned. She wondered when things changed. Her breathing slowed for a moment, then grew uneven again. Her body ached, but her mind kept searching. She remembered phone calls that used to come every day, then every week, then only when she called first. She told herself it was normal. Children grew. Lives got busy. But lying there now, she wondered if she had done something wrong. Had she loved too much? Protected too much? Had she made life too easy for him? The thought cut deeply. She remembered choosing cheaper shoes so he could have better ones. Saying she wasn't hungry when she was. Pretending she didn't need help. Maybe she taught him she didn't need anyone. Her chest tightened again. She pressed her hand against it weakly. Tears slipped down her temples, soaking into the floor. I tried, she whispered to no one. Another memory came. Daniel calling her late at night after his first heartbreak. Her sitting up in bed, listening for hours, telling him he would be okay. She had believed it. She had always believed in him. The contrast hurt now. Past devotion against present silence. Evelyn stared at the ceiling, though it blurred in and out of focus. The house felt like a witness to her life. Every corner held memories. Laughter once. Noise. Movement. Now, just stillness. She wondered where she went wrong. If she had asked for too little. If she had taught him to forget her. Her breathing became shallow again. Her body trembled faintly. I just wanted you safe, she murmured. She thought about her birthday mornings years ago. Daniel running into her room with excitement. Handmade cards. Crooked letters spelling love. When did those letters fade? Her eyes fluttered closed, then opened again. She fought the darkness. Not yet. She wasn't ready. Her phone was still silent. No vibration. No light. She felt small now. Smaller than she ever had, even when she had nothing. Back then, she had purpose. Now she had questions. Her chest rose and fell slowly. Each breath felt like work. I did my best, she whispered again. The memories softened, fading into shadows. Exhaustion pulled at her mind. The pain in her chest dulled slightly, replaced by a heavy numbness. She drifted once more, unsure if she would come back this time, the silence wrapping around her like a quiet, unanswered question. The vibration startled her. Evelyn's body jerked slightly as the phone buzzed against the floor near her hand. The sound felt loud in the quiet room, sharp enough to cut through the fog in her mind. For a moment, she didn't understand what it was. Then hope rushed in so fast it almost hurt. Her son. With what little strength she had left, she turned her head toward the phone. The screen glowed softly. A new message. Her heart began to race, not the painful kind this time, but the kind filled with relief. He had seen her messages. He was finally responding. Her fingers trembled as she dragged the phone closer. The effort made her chest tighten again, but she ignored it. Nothing mattered except the screen in front of her. She opened the message. For a second, the words didn't make sense. Then they did. The message wasn't written for her. It was casual. light, almost careless. Something about being busy. Something about celebrating. A laughing tone that felt completely out of place. Her eyes moved slowly over the words, reading them again and again, hoping she had misunderstood. A joke about her calls. About how many times she kept calling. A line about handling it later. Another about not letting it ruin the night. Her breathing stopped for a moment. The phone slipped slightly from her hand, but she forced herself to keep reading. Every word felt heavier than the last. He had seen her calls. He had read her messages. And he had chosen not to answer. The realization hit harder than the pain in her chest. Harder than the dizziness. Harder than the cold floor beneath her. This pain was different. It spread quietly, filling spaces inside her she didn't even know existed. Her vision blurred, not from weakness this time, but from tears. She had imagined many reasons for his silence. Being busy. Being asleep. Missing the calls by accident. But this meant he knew. Her chest tightened sharply, and she gasped, pressing her hand against it. The physical pain returned, but it felt small compared to what was happening inside her. She stared at the message, her mind struggling to accept it. He was celebrating. Laughing. While she lay on the floor, barely able to breathe. A quiet sound escaped her throat, something between a sob and a breath. Her shoulders shook weakly. She thought about every time she had answered his calls, no matter how tired she was. Every time she had told herself her own needs could wait. She thought about how careful she had been not to bother him lately. How she shortened conversations. How she pretended she was fine. And here she was, actually needing him. Ignored. Her heart felt like it was breaking apart, piece by piece. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just slowly enough to feel every second of it. She whispered his name, but it came out broken. The phone buzzed again. Her heart jumped, just for a moment, before she realized it was another message in the same thread. More joking. More words that weren't meant for her eyes. She didn't read the rest. She couldn't. Her grip loosened, and the phone slid from her hand, landing face down on the floor. Tears rolled freely now, soaking into her hair, the floor, disappearing like they never existed. The pain in her chest worsened, but she barely noticed. Emotional pain had taken over completely. She felt foolish for hoping. Foolish for waiting. Foolish for believing that all those sacrifices had meant something now. Her breathing became shallow again. Each breath felt weaker than the last. "I'm sorry," she whispered, though she didn't know why. The house remained silent. The walls offered no comfort. The memories from earlier felt distant now, almost unreal. This moment stood alone. She closed her eyes briefly, then forced them open again. She didn't want to miss anything, even now. Her heart ached in a way she had never known. Physical pain could be endured. She had endured it many times before. But this hurt reached deeper than anything she had ever felt. The phone stayed silent. And the silence confirmed what the message already had. She had not been forgotten. She had been ignored. The shock didn't fade all at once. It settled into Evelyn slowly, like cold sinking deep into her bones. The message replayed in her mind, not word for word anymore, but feeling for feeling. The truth of it pressed down on her chest harder than the pain ever had. For a long moment, she lay still. Her phone was on the floor beside her, face down. The room was quiet again, almost respectful, as if waiting. Then something inside her shifted. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even sadness anymore. It was clarity. She realized she could not keep waiting. Not for a call. Not for an apology. Not for someone who had already chosen not to come. Her breathing came in short bursts. Her vision swam, but her thoughts felt strangely sharp. Clearer than they had all day. "If I wait," she whispered, her voice barely sound, "I won't make it." The words didn't scare her. They felt like facts. With effort that made her whole body shake, she reached for the phone again. Her fingers felt clumsy, slow, like they didn't quite belong to her. She flipped the phone over. The screen lit up, bright against the dim room. Her hand trembled so badly she had to use both hands to steady it. She didn't scroll. She didn't think. She dialed. The phone rang once before someone answered. A calm voice came through the speaker, steady and practiced. The sound grounded her for a moment. She tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. "I need help," she managed to say, breathless. The voice asked questions. Where was she? Was she alone? What was she feeling? Evelyn answered as best she could. Her words came out slow, broken, but honest. Chest pain. Dizziness. Trouble breathing. On the floor. Alone. She focused on the voice, holding on to it like a lifeline. "You're doing the right thing," the person said gently. "Help is on the way." Those words washed over her. Help is on the way. Not promised. Not delayed. On the way. Evelyn closed her eyes for a second, then forced them open again. The room felt farther away now, as if she were slowly drifting from it. Her arms felt heavy. Her legs didn't feel like they existed at all. She was told to stay awake, to keep talking, to take slow breaths. She tried. Each breath felt thinner than the last. Her vision blurred, the ceiling fading in and out of focus. She stared at a small crack above her, using it as an anchor. "I'm here," she whispered, though she wasn't sure who she was reassuring anymore. The voice stayed with her, calm and patient, reminding her she wasn't alone now. That someone was coming. Sirens sounded faintly in the distance. Or maybe she imagined them. It was hard to tell. Her thoughts drifted again, softer this time. Not sharp memories. Just feelings. She thought about how close she had come to doing nothing. To waiting. To trusting silence. She thought about how choosing herself felt unfamiliar, almost wrong. But it also felt necessary. Her eyelids grew heavy. She fought them, blinking rapidly, but the effort made her dizzy. The voice told her to keep breathing, to stay with them. "I'm trying," she murmured. Her chest tightened once more, strong and sudden. She gasped, clutching at her shirt weakly. The room tilted. She felt herself slipping, like sand through open fingers. "I hear them," the voice said. "They're almost there." Evelyn wanted to respond, but her mouth wouldn't cooperate. Her thoughts slowed, words drifting away before she could catch them. She felt oddly calm now. Not peaceful. Just quiet. Her last clear thought surprised her. It wasn't about her son. It was about herself. That she deserved to live. That her life mattered, even if someone else had forgotten. Her vision darkened around the edges, closing in slowly. The sounds in the room faded, replaced by a dull rushing noise. Somewhere far away, she heard a door open. Voices. Footsteps. Strong hands. Urgent movement. Then nothing. Evelyn let go. As consciousness slipped away, she didn't feel fear. She felt relief. She had stopped waiting. She had chosen to survive. Evelyn woke to a steady beeping sound. At first, she thought she was dreaming. The sound came and went, slow and even, like a distant signal. Her eyes felt heavy, glued shut. When she tried to move, her body responded with a deep ache that made her pause. She opened her eyes slowly. White. The ceiling above her was bright and unfamiliar. The light hurt, and she blinked several times until her vision adjusted. The air smelled clean, sharp, nothing like her house. Tubes and wires surrounded her, connected to machines that hummed quietly. She was not on her living room floor anymore. A wave of relief washed over her, followed closely by confusion. She tried to remember what had happened. The pain. The phone. The message. Her chest tightened, but this time it was manageable. Controlled. A nurse noticed her stirring and stepped closer, her voice calm and reassuring. She told Evelyn she was safe, that she was in the hospital, that help had arrived in time. Evelyn closed her eyes for a moment and let that sink in. In time. Later, a doctor came in and spoke gently but clearly. Evelyn had suffered a serious medical episode, one that could have been fatal if she had waited longer. The doctor didn't say it to scare her, just the truth. Evelyn listened quietly, nodding. Her hands rested on the blanket, thin and still. She felt shaken, fragile, like glass that had been cracked but not broken. She survived. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time felt strange in the hospital, measured in footsteps and quiet conversations. Then the door opened again. She knew before she looked. Daniel stood there. He looked different. Pale. His eyes wide, unfocused, like someone who had been running on panic for too long. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair a mess. He looked younger somehow. Smaller. When he saw her awake, his face crumpled. "Mom," he said, rushing to her side. The sound of his voice hit her harder than she expected. Her chest tightened, not from pain, but from emotion she hadn't prepared for. He grabbed her hand carefully, like he was afraid she might disappear. His hands were shaking. "I'm so sorry," he said quickly. "I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know it was that bad." Evelyn looked at him quietly. She didn't pull her hand away, but she didn't squeeze back either. He kept talking, words spilling out fast. About being busy. About missing calls. About not realizing. She listened. Then she spoke. "You knew," she said softly. The words weren't loud. They didn't need to be. Daniel froze. She met his eyes. For the first time since he arrived, she really looked at him. He looked terrified. Guilty. "You saw my messages," she continued. "You saw my calls." His mouth opened, then closed again. His grip on her hand loosened. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse. She simply stated what she knew. "The message," she said. Color drained from his face. Silence stretched between them, thick and uncomfortable. "I didn't mean for you to see that," he said finally, his voice breaking. "It wasn't supposed to go to you." "I know," Evelyn replied. That seemed to hurt him more. He looked down at the floor, rubbing his hands together. He struggled to find words that didn't sound empty. "I thought I'd call you later," he said. I didn't think you were in danger." Evelyn breathed slowly. The machines beside her continued their steady rhythm. "I told you I needed help," she said. Daniel nodded, tears forming in his eyes. I know that now." She watched him carefully. She saw the fear, the regret. But she also saw something else. Distance. She realized something then. This wasn't about one night, one mistake. It was about choices. "I waited," she said quietly. "I waited because I believed you would answer." Daniel swallowed hard. "I didn't think." "That's the problem," she said gently. The words landed between them. He sank into the chair beside her bed, his shoulders slumping. "I messed up," he whispered. "I really did." Evelyn felt tired. Not just physically. Emotionally. The kind of tired that comes from carrying something for too long. "I didn't need jokes," she said. "I needed my son." Daniel covered his face with his hands. He shook silently. Evelyn watched him, her heart heavy but calm. She wasn't angry. Anger required energy she no longer had. She was awake now. In more ways than one. The truth had come out. And nothing felt the same anymore. The room was quiet again after Daniel stopped speaking. The machines continued their steady sounds, filling the space between them. Evelyn lay still, her hands resting on the blanket, her breathing calm now. She did not feel angry. That surprised her. Anger had burned through her earlier, sharp and sudden. Now it was gone, replaced by something steadier, heavier, clearer. She looked at her son and waited until he lifted his head. His eyes were red, his face tight with shame. "I need you to listen," Evelyn said softly. Daniel nodded at once. "I am. I swear." She believed that he was listening. That didn't mean everything would be fixed. "What happened to me," she said, choosing her words carefully, "was frightening. The pain. Not knowing if I would make it." Daniel swallowed hard. "But that wasn't the worst part," she continued. He looked up at her then, confused. "The worst part," Evelyn said, her voice steady, "was knowing you saw me asking for help and chose not to answer." Daniel opened his mouth, then closed it again. He didn't interrupt. "That feeling," she went on, "of being ignored when I needed you. It hurt more than collapsing on the floor. More than waking up here." Her chest tightened slightly, but she breathed through it. "I have been alone before," she said. "I know how to survive that. But abandonment from my own child felt different." Daniel's eyes filled again. "I didn't think," he said quietly. "I was selfish. I didn't want to deal with it. I thought I had time." Evelyn nodded. "That's immaturity," she said gently. "Not cruelty. But immaturity can still cause harm." He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I hate myself for it." "I'm not asking you to hate yourself," she replied. "I'm asking you to understand." She shifted slightly in the bed, the movement slow and careful. "I loved you by putting you first every time," she said. "By answering every call. By never letting you feel alone." Daniel listened, silent now. "But love doesn't mean disappearing when it becomes inconvenient," she said. "And it doesn't excuse neglect." The words were calm, but they landed firmly. Daniel nodded again, slower this time. "You're right." Evelyn watched him for a long moment. She saw remorse. She also saw uncertainty. And she realized something important. If she didn't protect herself now, this would happen again. "I need boundaries," she said. Daniel stiffened slightly, afraid. "For my emotional safety," she explained. "Not to punish you." "What does that mean?" he asked quietly. "It means I won't chase you anymore," she said. "I won't keep calling when you don't answer. I won't pretend it doesn't hurt." She paused. "If you choose not to show up," she said, "I will accept that. But I won't keep breaking myself hoping you'll change." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I don't want to lose you." "I'm not leaving," Evelyn said. "I'm just choosing not to abandon myself." The words felt strange in her mouth. New. Necessary. She felt tired again, but not weak. "You can be part of my life," she said. "But only if there is respect. Only if there is effort." Daniel nodded, tears slipping down his face. "I'll do better." "I hope you do," Evelyn replied honestly. "But hope isn't a plan. Actions are." Silence settled between them once more, but this time it wasn't crushing. It was clear. Evelyn closed her eyes briefly, then opened them again. Her heart still ached, but it no longer felt empty. She had survived. And now, she was choosing herself. Weeks passed quietly. Evelyn noticed time again, not in fear or panic, but in small ordinary moments. Morning light through hospital curtains. The slow walk down a hallway. The steady rhythm of days returning to something that felt like life. Her body healed slowly. There were follow-up visits, medications, careful movements. Some days were better than others. She listened to her body now. Rested when it asked. Ate when she was hungry. Asked for help when she needed it. That last part was new. When she returned home, the house felt different. Familiar, but no longer heavy. She opened windows, letting fresh air move through rooms that once held too much silence. She rearranged small things. A chair closer to the window. A lamp moved to a corner she liked. She was reclaiming space. Daniel visited sometimes. Not often. Not comfortably. Their conversations were slower now, careful and honest. There were pauses. Awkward silences. Words chosen with intention. The relationship was strained, but it was real. Evelyn no longer filled the gaps for him. She no longer pretended everything was fine when it wasn't. When he called, she answered if she could. When he didn't, she didn't chase the silence. She was learning a different way to love. Some days, she felt sadness. That didn't disappear overnight. Other days, she felt something stronger. Respect. For herself. She took short walks in the mornings, feeling the ground beneath her feet. She noticed things she used to rush past. Birds on wires. The warmth of the sun on her face. The simple fact that she was here. Alive. Her birthday came up again in her thoughts, not with bitterness, but with clarity. That day had nearly taken her life. It had also given it back. She understood now that waiting to be chosen had cost her more than she realized. She had spent years proving her love through sacrifice, through silence, through endurance. Now, she chose differently. She celebrated life in quiet ways. A slice of cake from a small bakery. Tea on the porch in the afternoon. A book finished slowly, without guilt. No announcements. No expectations. Just presence. She didn't wait for her phone to ring anymore. If it did, she answered calmly. If it didn't, she lived anyway. The birthday that nearly ended her life became something else entirely. It became the day she woke up. Not in a hospital bed, but inside herself. Evelyn stood at the window one evening, watching the sky change colors. Her heart still carried scars, but it also carried strength she hadn't known she possessed. She had survived more than a medical crisis. She had survived disappointment. She had survived the quiet realization that love must include care. And now, she was moving forward. Not waiting. Not shrinking. Just living. With quiet strength. With earned independence.